was talking about mailing lists and and other ones I've had tell me, you know, if you don't keep it clean, you know, like if somebody's spouse passes away and you keep saying Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so, and they think you may have thousands of people on your email list. They think they're the only person on your email list, right? You know, it's like you intentionally are not fixing your list. It's not that, it's the data entry person. So I guess I would say, you know, so then they won't get it. They're pissed off because they're the only person on your list and you will not remove their deceased spouse. And so I'm just saying, to strengthen what you were saying about the flyers and the phone calls, you know, you have to kind of know your community and how they communicate. You know, major gift donors have their own deal. Some of them, though, like if you're dealing with the high-tech companies, they tell you no mail. And you know, you want to get a relationship going. They just want email. That's it. Email is it. And then they file your email. And you're in their database in the club. But I'm just saying, you know, you have to know because there's a lot of money in that, you know, for potential donors. But there are still lots of people who they're absolutely shocked if they get a thank you note, a real call, or a real note by real email. So I love that part.
Definitely. Well, I think that's another important part of it too, because it's like, you know, this individuality that goes into it. Like, if you don't update, like, because we use, for example, we use Constant Contact for everything. If you're using something like that, or like MailChimp or something like that, you have so many emails, and managing like those kind of, because you're talking person to person, but you're using something that kind of separates the two, right? So you're not like maybe on that same level, and sometimes we forget to update things, or like we have bad emails, or like we forget to change the salutation, stuff like that. But I think that question of like maintenance becomes a really big part of it.
You always have to have a staff member for it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It takes
Agreed.
concentration.
Yes. We have our interns help us with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I love that part.
Anyone else? What is another big takeaway?
Well, I was fascinated by the generational, the two-gen learning approach, and we were kind of dissecting that, and I just wonder if it's because in so many cases the parents are used to their children translating for them, so things come easier from a young person than from an older person, that a more mature person like us. That, I say that now because I don't want to say old. I think it just comes easier maybe, and it's less intimidating, but I think that's very interesting.
Oh, it's a really neat approach to it. It's such an easier way to get into the digital world. You know?
Yes. Definitely. Well, I mean, like, we have all of our students. They're our digital experts. You can hand, you know what, this is a quote that I really love, and I say every single time, that our founder said, you know, she said in an interview one time, our kids are very tech savvy. You can give any of these kids on one of our iPads. They've already made a movie. They've already played several apps. They know how to use an iPad, but at the same time, they're very tech deprived. So they have all of this instilled knowledge. They just see it as like recreation. They just see it as like, I'm using a tablet and having fun, versus like, yo, this is a very applicable skill, because you are showing your parents, you're showing your grandparents, you're showing your family how to be a digital citizen. It's so much more than just like you know how to use a tablet, because you grew up with screens, but not all of us did, and we had to kind of learn along the way, right? So that's a very, very salient point. Anyone else? Anyone else? Not all at once, just kidding. So here are my 3 big takeaways for you. Get out your notebook. There are a bunch of free ones over there. So 3 big takeaways that I have for you. So 1, how does your community like to communicate? Who are you talking to? What is your community like? Do you have a group of people that really like email or really like phone calls? Send handwritten notes, I think should be the honorable mention for the 4th one.
Yeah.
2nd, does your community have language barriers? Are the people that you're trying to reach, do they only speak Spanish? Do they only speak another foreign language? are, like, the people that you're talking to, do they feel more comfortable talking in one language versus another? Do you need a translator? Do you need someone who's also fluent in that second language? Because then you build that rapport, right? And then third, are your communities online, offline, or both? And how do you stay connected? So that one's a more two-parter. So of course, like, we can stay connected with Facebook, with Instagram, with all these things. But you'll have communities that you're trying to reach that are offline. The parents that we're trying to reach, they're, for the most part, they are offline. Their kids are online, but we want to be able to bridge that digital divide, bridge that gap for the parents and our students. And ultimately, through our programs, like, just to kind of wrap everything up and put it all together, through programs like Digital Parents, even just what we do currently at Latinitas, our goal is to go beyond the class, because we're already here. So there are two bridges. Like, we're already here. We're already reaching the students. We're delivering programs. How do we go from here to bring our classrooms to the parents' homes, right? How can we equip the parents with the skills needed for today's tech boom, with all the new tech that's coming out? How can they use that as something I heard over here as assistive technology? How can they use this as ways that they can further their career development? How can they use this to empower themselves, right? So those big questions. So again, community, how do they like to be communicated with? Do you have any language barriers that you're working with? And are your communities online, offline, or both? And how are you staying connected with them, right?
Hey, do you have any suggestions for staying connected with people after classes?
Sure. Are you saying, I guess, like, what kinds of classes, I guess?
Computer skills.
Computer classes?
Yeah.
Yeah. So something that we're doing right now to have better retention with the people that have signed up for the Digital Parents Program, because we actually have our very first class on August 31st on that Saturday. We like to give parents phone calls like the day before saying, hey, like, can you still go to this? We've done this with other programs before with our after school clubs. If they made an email in class, maybe learning how to apply those skills, but otherwise we use phone calls a lot, or giving them paper reminders like, okay, like, here's a list with all the dates that we're doing for the 8-week program, or like, here's when our next computer class is going to be. We'll see you then. Just so they can have those visual and maybe those auditory reminders, just so they can have multiple exposures to it. So maybe giving them both can sometimes help. So giving them the dates, but then also, like, they get a phone call like the day before so they can confirm. So then they know it's kind of a serious deal. Like, oh, like, the computer class is still happening. It's written on here. And I also got a call from the instructor, right? So different avenues for those. That's what we're using, at least, for the Digital Parents Program. Yeah. And to wrap everything up, I'd like to thank all of you so much for attending. Please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can find us online. Here is our flyer for Startup Chica, our entrepreneurial conference for girls. We're opening up this program to girls between the ages of 9 to 18. Yeah, just get ready to send all of this information. I'm happy to share. I have extra printouts of the Digital Parents Program if you would like a copy. If you have any questions, please feel free to just come up to me and talk to me. But yeah, thank you so much. Give yourselves a round of applause.
I want to be on this class.
Yeah.
Kind of like why we're talking.
You can be. You can be.
That's
Like,
something
we have to
maybe
be-
the adults, it's just fun stuff.
Sad.
But it's really good stuff.
We will gladly. We will be more than happy to do so.
Video.